Shriver, and I'm so honored to be here with all of you answering the call to unite. And as she was just singing, we all do need friends right now. And that's really what this extraordinary broadcast streaming show has been all about. I have had the great fortune of coming in and out, being able to watch it over the last 22 hours. And I've been so moved, so inspired, so humbled. I've taken notes. And I'm so encouraged and most of all, so hopeful about our world and the people in it, and so hopeful about the path forward. So I hope you all will stick with me for the next 20 or 30 minutes. I hope you will get a pad and or a piece of paper or get out your phone wherever you take notes, because we're going to talk to four really extraordinary wisdom teachers, people who will help us not just in this moment, but will help us with information and tools to help us navigate the path forward, because we will need tools to navigate a post-pandemic world. If we want to be the uniters that we have seen on this program, we need to develop the skills of empathy and compassion, our listening skills, our ability to see the other in ourselves and in others, and also our love skills. So I know that all of us have had different experiences with this pandemic. Some of us have had time to reflect. Some of us had had time to write. Some of us are anxious and scared and feel like it's a very dark time. And I know in my own life, when I've felt anxious and scared and when it's been dark, the thing that's helped me the most is when I've been able to make a call, when I've reached out and someone on the other end has picked up that phone and answered my call. And that's why I'm really honored to be welcoming here with you Martha Beck, who is one of the great wisdom teachers of all time. She's a friend of mine, and she was one of those people that I called when I couldn't find my passion again, when I had lost my way, and I needed to be reminded not just who I was, but who everybody was and how I could chart a new path forward. So Martha, thank you so much for joining the call, for answering the call to unite. And you and I were talking just a few weeks ago about this moment in our collective history. And you said it's really a great moment of transformation. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, well, it's true that much of what our society has been doing is sort of broken by the pandemic, but it also gives us a chance to stop and look at the fact that a lot of it was broken already. And we just saw that beautiful video talking about the wild animals coming back and the air clearing. The oppression in various political systems of the world, the history of domination of the poor by the wealthy, for example, all of these things were really broken. And when something like a pandemic brings our mortality right into our faces and threatens the people we love, the people we don't know, and ourselves, it reminds us of our own humanity, and it becomes, rather than just a destruction, a chance for transformation.
But it also reminds us of our vulnerability. And we've heard a lot on this show about faith and fear. And there's a lot of anxiety out there. There's a lot of fear. I've lost my job. I can't meet my bills. I can't put food on the table. How do you get people to see this as a transformative moment as opposed to a paralyzing and terrible moment?
Well, the first thing is we're not really taught in our culture to handle things that die and are reborn. A lot of cultures see everything as a cycle, but we in this culture see everything as a forward, straight line that shouldn't be interrupted. So we don't know what to do when the fruits are all gone and it's wintertime, when nothing seems to be going right. But really, traditional cultures teach us that there are two jobs we have during these times. The first is to survive physically, but not by planning things out for a long time. At points in history like this, we have to take very small steps and plan just a short way ahead. And then the second thing we have to do is grieve, because we've all lost so much. We've lost expectations, we've lost loved ones, we've lost jobs. And that emotionally, to survive, that requires grieving. And both those things are necessary, but we can't do either of them alone.
And that's what this show really is all about, is letting us all see that the community of uniters is far bigger than any community we ever imagined it to be, right? And that we're all dependent and interdependent. We're all connected. So if someone out there is feeling I'm grieving, but I want to be a uniter, I want to come out of this stronger than I went in. I want to come out of this feeling less alone than I have felt perhaps in my whole life. What are the three things that they should do right now?
Well, the first thing is to reach inward to see where you really are and to accept, as you said, anxiety, grief, anger, whatever you're feeling is okay. The second thing is to reach outward by expressing what's going on with you and allowing yourself to show that vulnerability. So you and I have talked to each other about our how vulnerable we feel because we employ people and we're terrified that somehow we won't be able to keep giving them jobs. Everyone feels vulnerable in different ways and we need to be honest about it. And then the third thing is to reach out to help others, even if you feel like you're powerless and small. Any act that you do that helps another person, just like everyone on this broadcast, takes you from the position of victim mentally to the position of creator. And the way out of fear is creativity. The way we'll
So
fix
how
this.
do you do that? How do you take this moment when you're frozen at your home and say, oh, I want to use this and become a creator? I want to use this as the most creative moment in my life.
Well, what I realized was that I was going around asking the wrong question, and I was seeing the wrong question. It's not wrong, but I was seeing a useless question over and over in the press from other people. And that question was, what is going to happen? What's going to happen?
Hmm.
And I kept thinking that. And then one day I thought, no, the real question is, what am I going to make of this? Because we made the world that humans live in. Largely, we made it. What I made my own life. You and I were talking about this too. We each made the factors of our own lives, even the ones that harm us. So, what will I make next, given this? And then a loved one said to me, no, even that's the wrong question. You shouldn't think, what can I make of this, even though that puts you in creator. But now it's, what can we make of this? And when you switch to what can we make of this instead of what's going to happen, everyone becomes part of the field of creativity. And that's what fixes things.
So, this whole program, these last 24 hours, have been about showing people that there's this large community, this big we out there, and that they don't have to feel alone, and that it's not just a show, it's an actually ongoing community. If somebody wants to be a part of a we and now feels they're just themselves, do they pick up the phone? Do they send a text? Do they reach out? They can't put food on the table. What are the practical things they do? They want to be creative. They want to live differently. They want to transform.
Well, the most important thing to remember is we've never had a pandemic on this scale. We've never had a pandemic because there weren't as many people. But even when there were global pandemics, no one had the kinds of technology that we're using right now. And it's an incredible opportunity for us to be connected in our isolation, as you've been talking about for 22 hours. But there are so many ways that you can use technology to reach out through social distancing and either say, hey, I need help, or I have help to give. I mean, here's a silly thing. For some reason, I bought a whole lot of puzzles in January, and one of my neighbors in March put out an email to the neighborhood saying, does anyone have jigsaw puzzles? They're sold out. And I was able to give jigsaw puzzles to all my neighbors. It Even that made me feel so much more hopeful, empowered, and it made me think we're all puzzle makers. We actually make puzzles because that's what humans do. We solve problems, and as the moment we get into that and start helping each other using these technologies, we're going to create things that are unimaginably wonderful.
And finally, Martha, we're all part of a puzzle, right? There's all these different pieces. And really, this show is about uniting the world, uniting the country, but it's also about uniting ourselves, putting the pieces of the puzzles of ourself together so we can
Yeah.
go out whole, correct?
Absolutely. And nobody speaks to that better than you. I love your book and your Sunday morning paper that talks about I've been thinking, just getting into quiet reflection, going within, and then addressing that with integrity, like absolutely admitting what's truly going on inside us emotionally, intellectually, whatever is happening. be honest in this time. Only the truth is strong enough to take us through this level of tragedy.
Martha Beck, always wise, always inspirational, and always gives us hope about the path forward. Thank you so much.
Bye.